Well, I woke up this morning about 4 a.m. I started the doom scroll and I saw that Kasdan was at it again. He was announcing a brand new game, Escape 2042. I said, Vinny Funkmaster Vineyard, what you gonna do? Well, I bought the game.
Since the beginning of time, there's only been one website with the Babylons to claim every game reviewed when it came to the Pro System, and that's Atari 7800forever.com.
But now it's time to get on that YouTube trip, babies. And who am I? I'm Funkmaster V, musician, ghost hunter, hat flipper, pro wrestler, comedian, actor, filmmaker, and I'm going to take you on a whirlwind tour of all things cool about Atari and the Atari 7800 with a podcast, news, even new crap. Baby, are you ready to get your groove on? Because it's about to get funky up in here. I really can't believe that Escape 2042 has been released on the Atari VCS today alongside a game called Escape 2049, which looks like a superior game, and I haven't tried that one yet. So I've always wanted to play Escape 2042. I remember looking back at the Jaguar homebrew selection on Atari Age, and it reminded me when I was a kid, like looking at those old advertisements you would get with Atari games where there would be like this catalog that you could unfold. And I was an Atari 7800 super believer, but I would look at maybe the Atari XC and look at something like Skyfox or Blue Max, or I would look at something like on this 5200 Necromancer, and I'd be like, man, why can't we have that game? And I always felt that way about Escape 2042. And when that game kind of came out, the Jaguar homebrew scene was pretty crappy. Jaguars were scarce. They've become more and more expensive. I should have pulled the trigger back then and picked one of those up. But it was always one of those games. I was like, man, I wonder what it would be like to play that one. Well, I got to this morning, and I'm going to tell you all about it. This game, essentially, is a puzzle platformer where the puzzles are extremely easy and the platforming is kind of challenging. Your guy moves around a lot like Mr. Run and Jump. There's a lot of control over what he does. He kind of falls gracefully, but it is a little squirrely at times. And again, if you've watched my channel or you know anything about Atari 7800forever.com, I don't like platformer games that much. I hate jumping around. And there's plenty of that in this, but there is intrigue that keeps you going. And I think the world, especially in the beginning, is pretty captivating to kind of motivate you to get through to the end. Now, there is a story in this game, and I will say, I don't know what the Jaguar version of this game is like 100%, because this is called the VCS version. So I'm not sure if there's any differences at all, but I was surprised to find out that this was ported to the Genesis and other systems as well. And yeah, we're here on the VCS. The good thing about it, it's like $6.50. And so at that price, it's worth kicking the tires on, I think. The story is an Alex Jones wet dream. It starts off with a lady, and she's either speaking Japanese or Chinese, and she's telling you this story about how conspiracy theorists are imprisoned for their beliefs by the progressive social left-wing elites. And, you know, it sounds like the old fun Alex Jones, you know, the Bohemian Grove prison planet Alex Jones, not the Sandy Hook, I'm an asshole Alex Jones, but the older one. You know, he's mad about the frogs being gay, and then they put him on a prison planet. I think Alex Jones used to have a website called Prison Planet. So whoever created this game, Orion or whoever this guy is, he had to be an Alex Jones true believer. If you hate Alex Jones like I do, this game has no bearing. It's just kind of the funny vernacular in the beginning. It was like, what kind of weird right-wing alt-right guy made this game? All that being said, it has really no bearing on the gameplay. So even if you're a radical left-wing socialist that wants to imprison Alex Jones on a prison planet, you can enjoy this game. Now, unlike Alex Jones. This guy's actually a little badass. He reminds me of the agent in Impossible Mission. Your main attribute, the main thing you do in this game is jump. You do have access at one point to throwing grenades around. That's kind of confusing, and you really don't need it. It's a pretty simple game to play. It reminds me a lot of Mr. Run and Jump and Impossible Mission. Your main adversaries in the prison planet part of the world are the security cameras, which these are some awesome security cameras, which not only do they catch you, they will vaporize your ass instantaneously. Oh, speaking of which, you will die a lot. It is a pretty cagey, squirrely world, and you will fall on spikes, which is a lot like Mr. Run and Jump. But you can make your way to these mainframe computers, much just, like Impossible Mission. And there's the easiest codes in the world that you have to replicate, which this is a ridiculous system for security. Anybody, a child, could figure out how to operate these locks and open doors and things like this. There are a couple of mini games in between the stages of Escape 2042. The second world is much like the first world, except it's outside and the graphics are a little worse and it's a little easier. The third world is really just like the guy ran out of ideas. It becomes this giant outdoor jungle maze. It's like a labyrinth. It's kind of irritating. There's a lot of jumps. And as the game progresses, I just feel like the guy ran out of steam. It reminds me of like Atari 7800 games where the programmer was running out of RAM and things just got simpler and less imaginative, and the graphics kept getting slightly worse, which happens in this game. I beat the game in only a matter of hours. I did die a lot, but you can die as many times as you want. This is a game that's perfect for speed runs, and I kind of wish it gave you limited continues to kind of make it more challenging. I think the best part of the game is the first world, which is the prison planet. Prison planet! And also the mini games. When you escape the prison planet, you're chased by an armada chasing you through an asteroid belt. You have no weaponry. You just have to evade. That's a lot of fun. You crash on your home planet, and then you pick it up from there. And then the second mini game is you rappelling down a rock wall, which is pretty fun, and it's a nice caveat. I think that's a nice touch. Graphically speaking, the game gets worse as it goes. The menu screen and some of the cinematic graphics really put me in mind of Out of This World, which the rest of the graphics look like a computer game or kind of a really crappy Super Nintendo game. The main sprite, the guy that looks like the guy from Impossible Mission, he could have made that dude look a little bit cooler somehow. Put a hat backwards on him or glasses. I don't know. He's pretty rudimentary for rudimentary's sake. The sound is good. There's a lot of different types of music, bleeps, blurbs, and sound effects. But again, as the game gets simpler and there's less things to do and the game kind of becomes more and more ordinary, the last stage, which is like a giant jungle labyrinth, has hardly any music at all. If you enjoy Alex Jones bullshit, this is a good game for you as well. And if you like anything dystopian and science fiction, this is an actual pretty good game to scratch that itch. The problem is if you bought this thing for the Jaguar, which would have been like $70 or $80 for the cartridge, that's terrible. Like I said, I just beat this game this morning, just sitting down one time. It is fun, but it's not great. And if I paid $80 for this, I'd probably just be moaning in a corner somewhere. Paying $6.50, yeah, and I'll play it again. I'll try to get better. It's a game that you get better at as you play it and you memorize kind of what you have to do. In fact, no spoiler alert. If you don't want to hear the spoiler, turn this video off. There's no boss. You just run out of the maze at one point, and that's the end of the game. There's a cutscene. The Japanese lady's back. She's not giving you any sushi. She's not giving you a massage. She's just telling you that the guy named Shun has made it back to the city. And a little bit more propaganda about how, there's a global elite disgusting, cannibalistic, pedophilic ring, or I don't know what she's talking about. Maybe she didn't say any of that stuff, but basically, it's like 1984 in a video game. When I first started playing this game, I was having a blast. I was like, man, this thing is awesome. I don't know what these tepid reviews are about. But then at one point, it was like, having a teenage daughter. She borrowed the car last night, and when I got into it, it was out of gas. The game quickly runs out of creativity. It gets simpler. Like in the beginning, there's all these pass keys and hand grenades, and then eventually you don't need any of that stuff. You're just jumping around, and it gets, less and less interesting as it goes, and uglier. And there's no boss at the end. And the ending is pretty good if you're into 1984 or Fahrenheit 451. I'm glad the thing was released on the Atari VCS, and I'm glad it's there for $6.50. And tonight I'm going to try Escape 2049, and I have a feeling that game will be fine. And if it rhymes, it's true.